Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's been a little while since our last episode. I had to take care of some personal matters, but we are finally back and entering the final stretch of this AU9900 restoration. In today's video, we are tackling two key areas, restoring the phono stage and upgrading the driver board with the new pre-driver transistors and fresh bias and DC offset trim pots. Now, if you follow the series, you might be thinking, haven't we done quite a lot with the driver board? But these final upgrades are all about dealing in precision and long-term reliability. So stick around till the end because I'll share whether these changes made a real difference, what went smoothly, what didn't, and most importantly, how it affected the sound quality. Let's get started. We've already gone through a full recap and repair of this driver board in previous videos, but today we are diving into something I hadn't originally planned, a pre-driver transistor upgrade. Why the change of heart? Well, after reading some discussion on AK forums, AUDIOKARMA, I decided it was worth a shot. These original transistors, known as uniwatt types, can degrade over time. Considering this amp is pushing 50 years, I figured it wouldn't hurt to swap them out. The replacement I'm using have been widely tested by the community and no issues reported so far. So here's the setup. 4 PNP transistors, the green color ones, 2 per channel, and 4 NPN transistors, black ones, again 2 per channel. Now, replacements are solid performance obviously. The 2SA818 replaced with the KSA1381 and the 2SC1628 replaced with the KSC3503. Now I do miss the vintage green color on the originals, so I gave them a classic Sansui charm, but I think the new layout still looks pretty sharp. Okay, quick heads up before installation. Pinout configuration on these modern transistors is different from the originals. So you will need to carefully rotate or bend the leads to match the correct orientation of the board. There are a couple exceptions though, the TR06 and TR08. It looks like a Sansui anticipated alternative layout. There are 2 emitter positions drilled on the PCB. That means you can directly mount the new transistor into those spots without bending anything. For the rest, you have to bend the leads slightly, just like this. Just double check the pinout before soldering. It's a minor tweak, and once it's done, the board looks neat and tidy. All set, those new transistors are in place now and looking good. Next step is TrimPot Replacement. Before we dive into swapping out the trim pots, let's take a quick look into different versions available. Check out these 2 examples. Ignore the resistance value for now, 5K on the left and 10K on the right. The key difference lies in the model type, the H type and the V type. These refer to their pinout or the mounting style. So if you take a closer look, on the H type, the center terminal is positioned at the front. On the V type, it's located towards the back of the unit. Why does it matter? It all comes down to your driver board version. So if you have got the F2583 board, then you have to go with the V type, like mine here. If you are working with a F2580 board, choose the H type. The layout are different. Hopefully that clears any confusion. That's all you really need to know. Now, one more important detail. Because Sansui used 2 different driver board types, the trim pot values also vary, right? So if you have 2583, then use 5K pot for DC offset and 10K pot for bias current. If you have the 2580, then use 5K for DC offset and 1K for bias current. Just take note of these differences before you begin to source replacement. After a long battle, I finally removed one of the original TrimPot without snapping it. Here's what's left on the original one, pieces. Now it's time to preset the new TrimPot to match resistance of the old unit. Is this step mandatory? Technically no, but highly recommended. Think about if the pot is too far open, it can draw excessive current and current spike and thermal stress on your output transistors. And also, it reduces the risk of DC offset reaching your speakers. So this old 10K pot measured between pin 1 and 3 reads around 8.5, right? Between pin 1 and 2 and the actual set value is around 4K, right? Let's bring the new one. And measure between pin 1 and 2. Currently 4.9 kilo ohms. Let's dial it down, and now we are around, right, 4.2. I'm gonna leave it like that. Close enough for now for the initial setup. Pin 1 and 3, reading around 9.3K. Perfect. We are ready to mount it back to the board. Just one heads up, the original pot had flat leads, while the new one has the round ones. So grab a hand drill and widen the PCB holes if needed. While we're here, I'm going to swap in some new mica pad for these driver transistors. I'm not planning to replace the transistors themselves, although I did order some substitute just in case. I might do that later, but not for now. I'm sticking with the originals. I was reading through some posts on AUDIOKARMA, and seems most guys happy to leave them in place unless there's a clear reason to change them. Honestly, I feel the same. I'm all for preserving original parts whenever possible. If you're ordering mica pad from Mauser, here's the part number I used. That's done. Took a bit longer than expected. But when you see all these new shiny components come together, it's totally worth it. Now that the board is fully rebuilt, let's move on to DC offset and bias current adjustment. There are a couple of ways to approach this. The official method from the service manual is, well, a bit complex to my opinion, especially compared to the technique I'm using here. I am following a method shared on AUDIOKARMA, which I find much more straightforward. Basically, you just hook the test probes across emitter resistors of the output transistors and make your adjustment from there. I'll drop the link below so you can check out the full post. If you like to follow the official method, what's on the service manual, XrayTonyb has a great walkthrough in his Sansui AU2000 video. I'll link that too. By the way, massive shout out to Tony for all his contribution to the community. I've learned a ton from you, man. A big fan. Thank you so much. Alright, the amp been powered on and idling for 10-15 minutes now. You're gonna need a long precision screwdriver like this for this step. As you can see, I wrapped mine in insulation tape. There are a lot of components packed here, especially transistors, so you wanna avoid any accidental short circuit. Okay, let's give it a go. Oops, wrong pot. That's the DC offset, not the bias. See, you got to be extremely careful here. The magic number we are aiming for is 13.2 millivolt. How do I know that? Well, thanks to the folks on AK, we ran the calculations. Huge help, thank you guys. These spots are very sensitive too. So I'm settling mine under around 12 millivolt. Once the cover's back on, the amp will run a bit warmer. Now let's do the same on the right channel. Finally, we reached the phono stage restoration, probably the easiest section to work on this amplifier. Now, before we start, I should say that I don't actually need to restore this board since I use an external phono amp. Let me show you. Here it is. This one is the Cambridge Audio AU651. Has a very good phono stage for money, in my opinion. Anyway, since I already have parts, it would be a shame to not to do it, especially considering the time and effort I put into this restoration. I won't be replacing any transistors here, even though this board does have a couple of known troublemakers like 2SA798 and the 2SC1313. I've tested it and there's no distortion or hum at all. Issues could develop over time, especially with the 2SA798, but for now everything's fine. So the plan is simple. We will just replace these original 50 years old capacitors, and there are 1, 2, 3, 8 on the top and 2 more underneath the board, and that's it for the phono stage. Let's take a look. Well guys, here we are. Just like I promised, my 2 cents on this upgrade. Let's start with the pre-drivers. Did the new parts make a real difference in sound quality? Absolutely yes. First of all, there was a noticeable reduction in hiss. Before, when the amp was idling, if I stood about half a meter from the speaker, I could still hear faint hiss. After the upgrade, it's almost gone. You would have put your ear right next to the tweeter to hear it. So that's a huge improvement right there. Secondly, I've noticed better clarity in mid-range and vocals, more detail overall. I'm pretty confident that it will open up even more after a good 100+ hours of burn-in time. Now, regarding bias and DC trim pots, well, this part I honestly didn't enjoy it. It took me ages to get those things out. They were like a glue to the board. I only managed to remove one without breaking into pieces, as you saw. So my advice is only tackle this if you have a lot of patience. If not, it's probably best to leave them alone. So overall, really happy with the outcome. If you have time and parts, yes, I highly recommend to do it. Well, that's kind of it for this stage. The next step is replacing these filter capacitors with these guys. So yeah, stay tuned. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching and bye for now.